Well, at this time, I think I'm going to go ahead and introduce our program for the day. Liz Wickham is so nice to join us today. She is with Fences for Fido. She works with service dogs, and until Liz retired 3 years ago, she was director of creative services for a company in San Francisco Bay Area. After retirement, Liz moved to Forest Grove with her husband, who's an Oregon native originally from Hillsboro. Something that eased her transition into retirement in a new area was joining a nonprofit group that helped her meet new people and do something good for animals. Liz is here today to tell us more about that group, which again is called Fences for Fido. So Liz?
Thank you very much, Jim. And thank you, Rotarians, for giving me a little time. I'm just going to share my screen here because I have a few slides to go with the presentation. Oops. There we go. Okay. Just one correction. Fences for Fido, we don't work with service dogs, but that will become clear as I explain. And I'm sure many of you have heard of us. I should say one thing about retirement. Somebody told me once a long time ago that the term retirement is really a social construct, meaning somebody picked an arbitrary age, and when we reach that age, out we go. Well, I agree it's arbitrary, but like a lot of us, when we get close to that age, we still want to be involved in a community, as all of you are. And this ended up being my volunteer option of choice. I had never heard of Fences for Fido because it's a Portland-based organization, but a random 20-minute conversation with a friend just told me this was going to be it for me. So you may know about it, but I'm going to give you a little thumbnail anyway. Our mission is to protect dogs from inhumane lives at the end of the chain, meaning our tagline says it all, unchained, one dog at a time. We do this by creating fenced yards on people's property that allow for comfortable movement of the dogs. We provide dog houses, solid, straightforward, as you see in the picture here, but they are sturdy and they keep the dog protected from the elements, from the cold and wet in the winter and from the hot sun in the summer. We also provide access to essential care. We like to think that all of the dogs we help have been spayed or neutered by the time the fence has been put up. If that's not possible for the dog owner for financial reasons, we provide that service. We provide the funds for that. We also provide access to essential emergency veterinary care. All of this is at no cost to the people we serve. The group was formed in 2009 around Kelly Peterson's kitchen table in Portland. She is a co-founder and is still very much involved in the group. She refers to the group as love in action. And she says, we build fences to build stronger bonds between people and their dogs. Our primary focus is dogs that have been chained for more than 8 hours a day outdoors. I believe there's a law in Oregon now, and Fences for Fido was instrumental in bringing that to pass. I think the maximum that a dog is allowed to be tethered is 10 hours a day, but even so, that's just not a great life for a dog. But our clients will call on us because they are concerned about the welfare of their dogs, but they're not in a position to build a fence for themselves. The majority of our clients are low income in vulnerable populations. They may be sick, they may be handicapped, there may be other issues, but we're there for them. In those 11 years, we've grown to serve 27 counties in Oregon and Washington. And in that time, over 1,000 volunteer fence builders have released over 2,200 dogs from tether. here's how the process works. You apply online. Go to fencesforfido.org and fill out an application for yourself or for someone you know who could use a fence. Once that application is received, Fences for Fido assigns a client outreach person or CO. Client outreach the CO goes to visit the family with the dog for a number of reasons. We want to make sure, first of all, that the dog really is outdoors and in need of release from a tether. Sometimes people will think, well, I've got an indoor dog, but I could really use a fence. I think I'll fill out an application. It doesn't work that way, and we can generally tell when that's the case. But a sidebar about our fences: they're not glamorous, they're not design quality. They are sturdy, they are presentable. They're made of weld wire and wooden 4x4 posts. They do the job, but they may not be your first choice of a fence if you could afford to build yourself a fence. Another reason we want to go take a look at the family is to assess the health of the dog. Does it need spaying or neutering? Are there health issues that we can help with? We want that dog to be happy and healthy at the end of the process. And we want to know that the client understands the process itself, especially in cases where someone else has applied on their behalf. For example, I went with a CO a few months ago to a potential client in Northeast Portland. In this case, someone had applied on behalf of this person and said, don't worry, everything's fine. Well, the gentleman we spoke with was surprised. He didn't know somebody had ordered a fence on his behalf, and he wasn't very happy about it. So we left. But that's an unusual case. In most cases, our clients are super happy to work with us. They're delighted that we're going to help them. And quite often they'll be out there with us helping to build the fence. At this point, the crew leader is established for the project. Crew leader also goes out to the location, scopes out the space. We like to be able to use one side of the house as one side of the fence. It cuts costs, and it just generally works better. And when everything is all set, the CO posts on the website, we've got a fence build coming up, and here's how many people we need, and our team of volunteers sign up. So a little word about volunteers. Who are they? What are their skills? They can be anybody. If you like to work outdoors, sometimes in extreme weather, if you like dogs, if you like working with other people, and if you're agile enough to clamber around sometimes challenging landscape, this is a great way to spend a Saturday. It really is. Skills are completely not needed. We love people who know their way around construction, but absolutely not needed. I didn't know how to do any of this when I first signed up, but thanks to some very experienced people, many of whom have been doing this for years, I now know how to dig a post hole and fix a post into concrete and set weld wire. It's been a really interesting experience. So on construction day, on build day, everybody shows up. The CO and the crew leader we don't even necessarily have tasks assigned because people generally know what they do best and what they like to do. But we lay out the day on the first, it's generally a 2-day process. The first Saturday, we dig the post holes and set the posts in concrete. A week later, when the concrete has cured, we come back and build the entire fence. It's about a 3 to 4 hour build, depending on the size and complexity. And at the end of it, we are tired and hot and sweaty and muddy and maybe wet and cold if we're building in the winter. But we're not done yet because the best is yet to come. The thing that sends us on a high is when we get to release the dogs into the fence. Generally, these dogs have been confined on a tether. Some of them get the fence simply because they are escape artists. But the dogs that have been tethered are so excited. They're running around like crazy, inspecting every blade of grass. The image on the right there with the pool, that was my very first build. We built the fence around the pool with the pool on the inside, and the dogs obviously had complete access. They immediately dived in. They had a great time. I'd like you to meet some of the other dogs we've released. Gizmo was one of Fences for Fido's original dogs. You can see in the upper left there, he is literally at the end of his tether because he just had no room to move. But with that fence, he gets to be a great, fun-loving dog playing in the sprinkler. Dolly's doghouse was so awful that she felt she was better off on top of it, and she was not very happy about that. It looks like her leash was attached to a clothesline, but it still didn't give her very much room. And now in her yard, she gets to run and play with toys like she's really meant to do. Lexi used to do what a lot of dogs on a tether do, which is wrap themselves around the post or the tree until they can't move. And obviously Lexi loves to run. The reason I wanted to speak to you all today was to bring awareness of Fences for Fido. When I first joined, the builds that I could sign up for were pretty far away, like an hour's drive each way. I was building in Rainier or Estacada or Malala. And that was great because I was driving through gorgeous countryside and really getting to know my new home state. But I wanted to do something closer to home. I kept thinking Washington County must have opportunities. Well, what Washington County didn't have was a Fences for Fido client outreach person. So now I'm it. And I had my very first build in February, just in Hillsborough, downtown, more or less downtown Hillsborough on East Main. But there are a lot of rural areas out there, and I know that there are a lot of build opportunities. So more awareness attracts more volunteers, and I've explained what a cool thing that is. Really, the best part of your Saturday can be that. It'll bring in more clients, bring in awareness for people who would love an option for their dogs other than tethering them all day. It brings us more dogs to help, and it helps us fundraise. Fences are run from $600 to $1,000 each. Right now, we're dealing with a slightly different configuration. We just restarted our build process this past weekend, but the fences that we use now are called panel fences. They are pre-built panels of weld wire that are put together with smaller crews and makes it possible for us to do these builds maintaining social distance. Those fences generally run about $1,000. Excuse me. Dry work, talking about dogs. Our current sources of support. We have fundraising efforts throughout the year. We have at least one gala a year. We have information tables at community events. As soon as the Forest Grove Farmers Market allows us to do so, we will have a table on first Wednesdays. But I'm told when they first start up, they're not going to be having the first Wednesday events. The focus is going to be on local produce. We welcome corporate and individual donations, and we love fence sponsorships. Groups sometimes do this, and sometimes individuals want to commemorate a particular fence in memory of a beloved dog. But this is one of those rare, wonderful nonprofits where virtually every donation goes where it's supposed to go. We have virtually all volunteers. We have 2 part-time employees to manage the books, but everything else goes to the dogs. And this is an example of some wonderful support we got a couple of years ago. I'm sure you've heard of Mike Rowe, who has at the moment a Facebook Live program called Returning the Favor. He did a wonderful 30-minute program featuring 2 or 3 builds of our builds, and he was on the spot with his crew. It's a super fun program if you find it on Facebook. At the end of it, he surprised us with a donation, a very generous donation of funds for construction materials, toys, dog houses, food. It was very heartwarming. If you personally would like to help as individuals or as a group, many ways to do so. The first thing to do is go to our super fun website, fencesforfido.org. It shows you how to make a cash donation. You can donate a vehicle. just recently, my husband and I donated our vehicle, the 20-year-old Volvo that drove us to Oregon, and we're happy that it's going to such a good cause. We have a lovely little Amazon wish list where you can buy anything from a dog collar up to a really great power tool, because we're always in need of those, everything in between. You could sponsor a build as an individual or a group. And we invite you to follow us on Facebook, because we're always posting images of our latest builds. Everybody loves pictures of happy dogs. And this is where we post information about our fundraisers throughout the year. Now, this is a little postscript. This guy just popped in yesterday. I heard about him from Kelly at Fences for Fido. His name is Jordan. We built a fence for Jordan a few years ago, and the crew fell in love with him. He's just a love bug. But recently, Jordan became in need of a new family. He has a new family in waiting in Portland, but he's not going to be able to go there for 3 or 4 weeks. So we are currently putting out feelers everywhere for anyone who has the desire and the ability to foster this sweetheart. He's probably about 45 pounds, medium-sized dog, for just 4 weeks or maybe less. He's neutered, loving, sweet, and he doesn't like cats. But if you have any interest in this, or if you have any other questions about Fences for Fido, here's the contact information for you. Here's the website again, fencesforfido.org. Find us on Facebook. And there's my email address. Please email me directly if you would like to know anything else about us. And I will just close by saying that we are out there building fences again, because coronavirus or not, people still need their fences for their dogs. Thank you, Tim, and thank you, Rotarians.
Yes, let me unmute myself. Thank you, Liz. That was a great presentation. Appreciate everything that you guys are doing there, and it looks like a great cause. So what was the last project that you worked on? Was that something local here?
Yes, that was actually my first project as a client outreach person. It was the one in Hillsborough on East Main. And it was a dog. The family was sharing the dog, and the dog was spending most of its time with the other party in another town, tethered. I had a picture in there along the way, but tethered most of the time. So now Coco is back with her main family all the time, because now she has a completely fenced in yard.
Nice.
It's wonderful.
Great, great. Well, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Liz? I saw Todd Kelly joined us there for a bit. Are you still here, Todd?
Yes, I am. Hold on. Hold on.
Been a long time since we've seen Todd. It'd be great to see your smiling face. How are you getting along these days?
Hold on.
Well, a question for Liz.
Yes.
What do you do with dogs that are escape artists?
We build them the kind of fence that they can't escape from. We add something called ground wire to the fence itself, so it makes it very difficult for them to dig out. If they're climbers, and dogs like pit bulls actually are pretty agile climbers, then we add a little angled extra layer of weld wire at the top so they can't get out. And we're careful about where we position the doghouse so they can't climb on the roof and leap out. It's a pretty solid fence.
I have a question for Liz. How do you vet the family to figure out if they're a candidate for your program?
Well, the first thing actually, and I didn't mention this, the client outreach person will do a drive-by, and we either see the dog outside, or we see evidence that the dog is tethered most of the time. And there may be a tether right there that the dog isn't in at the time, but you'll see a pattern of where the dog has room to run, and then it's kind of worn down the ground or the grass at that point. we're not, we don't do a means test of any kind.
Okay, any other questions for Liz? Hey, there's Todd.
Hi, Todd.
Good to see
Hello.
you, my friend.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And please feel free to contact me directly. We love questions and we love interest.